Hello everybody, my name is Joshua Katz, and today I will be talking about poverty and how it impacts an adolescent student's life. Poverty is more than just money. What's important about it is it takes a toll on a student's life, from their development even to their future. Now this could be through many ways, and it impacts their nutrition, their resources, and it even hinders their graduation. Currently, there are 4.7 million students living in poverty, and that number jumps to 10 million if we include low-income households. So roughly 20% of our students are faced with poverty. Now, poverty is a disadvantage in many ways. So that means 1 in every 5 students is at a disadvantage. To some, that might not seem like a lot, but 20% of all students, that's a very big problem. And even though we can't see it, or maybe we don't notice it, that does not mean the problem doesn't exist. Poverty impacts nutrition, specifically with malnutrition, mainly not eating or consuming the right amount of certain foods. So malnutrition isn't only not eating enough. If they're not eating enough protein specifically, or their sugar intake is improper, that too is malnutrition. So students are like a machine. They're operated and they have many systems, and like a machine, they must be maintained and kept up properly. And if they're not, what happens? Obviously, they start to malfunction. That is why proper nutrient intake and caloric intake is essential. Unfortunately, for people who live in poverty, they are not always faced with a healthy meal and a proper meal every day. And ultimately, it impacts their energy level and it impacts their attitude in school. Excessive tiredness, not wanting to participate, that all has to do with how well their body's being maintained. Like a machine, if it's not kept up properly, it's not going to work and it's not going to develop correctly. Another way that poverty impacts development is through stress. Poverty does cause stress in a student's life. So if a student has to deal with the many struggles of high school and now they're dealing with poverty, an excessive amount of stress is very harmful to a student. This can cause a compound to be created called cortisol, and that messes with and interferes with the neuron signals sent to part of our brain. So now if certain information and knowledge isn't being sent properly to our brain, malfunctioning definitely is going to occur more often. Another part of poverty that impacts a student is the resources at home. Usually when a student goes home, they have to do homework or study, and they have a parent to go to if they need help or someone to help them with their work, but not everyone is afforded that opportunity. Some people have other stuff to do when they get home. They have to raise themselves or raise their siblings, their brothers and their sisters. They have to take care of them, make sure they're doing their schoolwork, and make sure they have eaten. That is very prevalent in the life of somebody who is living in poverty. It happens more than we think. So while some students get to go home and study and do their homework with one of their guardians or their parents, others have to go home and take care of a family, and once the bell rings in school, school's over. There is no continuing their education. They now have to be essentially a parent and take care of others and can't continue learning past regular school hours. Another impact of poverty is the graduation rate of students. Now, graduation rate is something that we all have looked forward to or wanted to happen, but it doesn't happen for everybody. Students who live in poverty have a lower % chance of graduating. So going to school every day and going through school, they're already at a disadvantage. And graduation does matter, because if they want to have a career and the career wants a high school diploma, they don't have it. So while 1.2 million students drop out every year, half of them it's due to financial hardships or financial struggles. It's not that they didn't like it, they didn't like the homework, they didn't like the teachers. They had to leave, or their family wasn't going to have a home or wasn't going to have food for everybody. So unfortunately, although they did a great deed and a very honorable service of helping out others and providing for their family, it's a strike against them because they don't get to receive the reward of a high school diploma. And sometimes students are 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, and they're forced to leave high school because they now have to be an adult and work and provide for their family. Some useful teaching tips is to always be kind and friendly to all students. We don't know the walks of life of students, and we don't know their past or what they're going through currently. That's why it is important to always treat people kindly. Having a nutritional snack is also a great idea for students because some students, they might need a snack throughout the day. To conclude, poverty impacts many parts of a student's life. It impacts how the mind develops, and that could be from malnutrition or stress. It impacts the academic resource a student has at home. They might not have a family to go to for help. They might have to provide for other people. And due to this, they have a lower graduation rate than the rest of the students, and they're at a disadvantage from when they start school. I hope you all enjoyed this lesson. Thank you.